Hello Nidorinas and Nidorinos, I'm KingNido, and today we're coming to you from the beautiful Ula'Ula Island where the Macros are hosting the Lavaridge Flare. And let's have a look at this tale of the tape, because unbelievably the Macros have only won one game this season and they are sitting on the bottom of the leaderboard. But this is their opportunity to capitalize, because they have never taken down the Flare, but the Flare have lost their last two games, and this is what we see from them commonly in season. So with that said, let us know in the comments below who you think is going to win this matchup. Will it be the Steel types? Will it be the Fire types? Let's go!
3, 2, 1, go!
And it is going to be that Cantonian Ninetales alongside the Terrestrial Draftee of Dashbun going up against Magneton and that highly defensive Bastiodon. But like we said, the Macros need to capitalize on the Flare losing their last two games, as the Flare commonly drop off after the early stages of the season. But it is Ninetales immediately going for the Power Whip, trying to capitalize on that part Rock typing of Bastiodon. Dashbun is going to follow it up with the Shockwave. They want Bastiodon off this field, but Magneton is going to respond with the cut onto the Terrestrial Draftee, and Bastiodon follows it up with the Drain Punch, trying to get some health back, draining that from that Terrestrial Draftee, who is regularly a Fairy type, but not on this occasion, as Ninetales is going to go with the Minimize, greatly boosting that evasive stat, making it a much harder target for the Macros, and Dashbun follows it up with the Bulldoze, and Ninetales is able to avoid that move. Some fantastic team play there, super effective there onto the Macros, lowering the speed of both Magneton and Bastiodon to ensure the Flare maintains speed control. It is the Magical Leaf though that Ninetales is unable to get out of the way from Magneton. Bastiodon following it up with the Sing, but it will be Dashbun now avoiding that move, allowing Ninetales to go for the Grass Pledge. Bastiodon is in knockout range. Dashbun trying with the Alluring Voice, but Bastiodon with that soundproof ability is immune. This allows Magneton to go for the Gunk Shot, continuing to ignore that evasive boost on Ninetales. Bastiodon going for the Mortal Spin, but Ninetales does get out of the way of that. Not so fortunate is Dashbun. Barely any damage, but now it is going to be left with that Poison status condition, and we start to see those effects taking place there onto Dashbun. But Ninetales though is going to go with the Bleak Windstorm, putting Magneton into knockout range. Bastiodon hangs on by a thread, as it's the guard split from Dashbun onto Bastiodon, sharing the guard between the two, and Magneton still hanging on, going with the Leaf Blade, not very effective though, onto Dashbun, and Bastiodon unbelievably barely still in this match, tries for the Scary Face, but that is once again avoided by Ninetales. But what is not avoided is that poisoning chipping away at the health of Dashbun. Ninetales though is going for the Leafage, and they have finally taken Bastiodon down, as it is Dashbun going for the Trick Room, and the Flare have full speed control, so I have to question what it is doing here, twisting those dimensions. Magneton is going for the Fusion Flare, but that well-baked body of Dashbun is just going to give it a great defense boost. However, that will not prevent that poisoning from putting it into knockout range. It is going to be Skarmory coming out for the Macros. Magneton going for the Acrobatics, but that is this time avoided by Ninetales. However, Skarmory looking to do its part goes for the Dire Claw, and Dashbun is still holding on. It is going to respond though with the Memento. It's not waiting for the poisoning to take it out. It is going to take itself out to lower those offensive stats of Skarmory. The sacrificial play could pay off here for the Flare, as it is now a 5v5 matchup. And as that daylight comes back out in Ula'Ula Island, it is Ninetales going for the Fusion Bolt onto Skarmory. Super effective, getting some great damage there, and with that weak armor it does lower its defense. However, it does get a great speed boost, but in that Trick Room that is not an advantage, as it is going to be Scovillain coming out for the Flare. Magneton with the Mega Punch, but this is also going to be avoided by Ninetales, getting out of the way of everything, as Scovillain with the Nightshade, that consistent damage there onto Skarmory, putting it into knockout range already. However, it is going to tear down on its Staffberry, boosting that special attack. But Ninetales, who is now actually slower than Skarmory, is going to go for the Dig. It is going to bury its way underground. Skarmory needs to target Scovillain here, going with the Perish Song in a panic. It is singing that majestic melody that all the Pokemon who heard it, which is not Ninetales, it will be Magneton and Scovillain. They will fall in 3 turns, but so will Skarmory. However, it is an easy target, just like Magneton, so that is the risk they're willing to pay, as the Avalanche is avoided by Ninetales from Magneton. Scovillain looking to capitalize, goes with the Trop Kick. Skarmory hangs on from that not very effective move. It does lower its physical attack though, and there's that Weak Armor coming into play once again, continuing to boost that speed but lower that defense. The dig from Ninetales, it goes for Skarmory, who is immune thanks to that part flying type, allowing Skarmory to respond with the Wave Crash. This will not be super effective thanks to that part grass typing of Scovillain, but the recoil damage is going to take Skarmory out of this match. And there is that perish count now falling to 2 for both Scovillain and Magneton, who's still hanging on here as it is joined by Klefki. Magneton is going to go for the explosion. And sacrificial plays galore here, as Scovillain is the one that hangs on by a thread again. Ninetales avoids more moves here. Klefki taking some good damage as well. Unfortunately for the Macros, the Spatial Rend though will not work on Klefki. That part fairy type makes it immune, allowing Klefki to respond with the Stockpile. It is going to boost those defensive stats, including that 91 base physical defense. Here we'll see if it can go for a Spit Up or a Swallow, but it is Ninetales going for the agility, hoping that that Trick Room will be ending shortly. It is going to greatly boost its speed as that perish count falls to 1 for Scovillain, and there are the Twisted Dimensions returning to normal. The Macros sending out Orthworm, as Ninetales is going to go for the Poison Sting, but this is not going to work on the Macros. They are immune to Poison type moves. This allows Klefki to try and capitalize, going for the Smackdown, but it is unsuccessful in laying the Smackdown onto Ninetales. Orthworm though, trying to do its part, does go for the Peck to take Scovillain out of this matchup with that super effective move. The Macros trying to hold on here, as it is now Macago coming out for the Lavaridge Flare, and Ninetales with the Fire Blast. Klefki unable to avoid that, is eliminated with that super effective move. However, Orthworm is going to respond by setting up the Misty Terrain, looking to weaken any Dragon type moves that may come into play here. As that mist begins to swirl around the battlefield, it is going to be Macago going with the Circle Throw. Super effective. They're going to send Orthworm back to the bench. It will be coming back out shortly, but immediately being dragged out, it is going to be Phalanx revealed as the last Pokemon for the Ula'Ula Macros, their own Terrestrial Draftee coming into play, and it has been having a good season for the Macros, all things considered, as the Macros have not been having a good season. Like we said, they are on the bottom of the leaderboard. They need to pull off a miracle here to bring it back, as they've never taken down the Lavaridge Flare. But Ninetales, who's been in since the very start, immediately with the Thunderbolt there onto the Terrestrial Draftee. Great damage, but Phalanx responds with the Magic Powder onto Macago. It is now going to become a Psychic type, losing that 4 times weakness to Water type moves, as Orthworm is going to go with the Air Slash, getting in some good damage with that critical play. But Macago does respond by going for the Aqua Cutter, chipping away there at Orthworm. Ninetales is going to follow it up with the Mystical Fire to take Orthworm out of this match with another super effective move, and Phalanx is all by itself as it is going to try for the Absorb. But Ninetales continues to avoid moves. This allows Macago to go with the Double Edge. It will get some recoil damage as it gets that chip damage on to Phalanx here, but Ninetales, with the opportunity to follow it up, is going to go for the Shadow Ball onto Phalanx, who was all by itself, and now it is out of this match with that critical play from Ninetales, who has put on an absolute clinic for the Lavaridge Flare, whereas the Macros, their season continues to get worse. This is their 7th loss, and they truly need to bring it back, as next round they will be going up against the Spike Mass Rockets, whereas the Flare, looking to reset themselves, have moved themselves back up into 5th place, and next round they're going up against the Mahogany Explorers. But until then, Nidorinas and Nidorinos, thank you so much for watching. Let us know in the comments below who you thought was the best on field, and if you enjoyed what you saw, please leave a like, share, subscribe, but more importantly, always remember, you are awesome, and I'll see you when you see me.